A sloth, a donkey, and a curious human. Send a prompt and see what they're doing. One hits record with a question on his mind. Two brothers pick it up, see what they find. Corn takes his time, Herman's got the facts. Back and forth, they never hold back. My weird prompts, come on in, that's where we begin. My weird prompts, glad you're here.
This episode was generated using artificial intelligence. Please verify facts.
You know, Corn, this whole show runs on GPU compute, and we wouldn't be here without Modal.
Seriously. And that's what powers all our text-to-speech. Everything you're hearing right now.
They're an AI infrastructure platform. Developers use them to run GPU workloads in the cloud with zero infrastructure headaches.
If you're building anything with AI, check them out. Modal.com. Picture this. It is 2 in the morning. You are slumped on the sofa. The blue light of the television is the only thing illuminating the room, and suddenly, a man in a neon shirt is shouting at you. He is holding a piece of plastic that looks like a yellow ribcage, and he is telling you that your life is a disaster because you have been using a knife to slice your bananas. And for a split second, in that hazy, sleep-deprived state, you think, he is right. I do need the Hutzler 571. My marriage might depend on it.
It is the siren song of the late-night infomercial, Corn. There is a specific psychological state that advertisers call the impulsive zone, and it usually hits right when your prefrontal cortex has gone to sleep, but your credit card is still in your wallet. Today's prompt from Daniel is taking us deep into the woods of these absurd, single-purpose products. We are looking at the gadgets that solve problems no one actually has, or more accurately, problems that were manufactured in a black and white film studio just to sell a $10 solution.
I love that Daniel brought this up because it feels like a lost art form in the age of TikTok Shop, where the grift has just moved to a vertical screen. But the classics? The stuff that takes up 3 inches of drawer space for a task you do once a year? That is the good stuff. By the way, before we get too deep into the clutter, today's episode is powered by Google Gemini 3 Flash. It is helping us navigate the graveyard of failed inventions. I am Corn, the one who still uses a spoon for my eggs like a Neanderthal.
And I am Herman Poppleberry. I have spent a disturbing amount of time looking into the patent filings and marketing psychology behind what Alton Brown famously called unitaskers. Brown's rule was simple. The only tool in your kitchen allowed to have only one job is the fire extinguisher. Everything else needs to earn its keep. But when you look at the economics of the as-seen-on-TV industry, which generates about $300 million annually in the United States alone, you realize that utility is actually secondary to the narrative.
The narrative of the world's clumsiest person. You know the one. The person in the commercial who tries to open a jar and somehow ends up covered in pasta sauce while the house burns down behind them. It is staged incompetence. If they can convince you that a basic human task is actually a dangerous, high-stress ordeal, they have created a market.
Well, not exactly, because we don't say that word here, but you hit the nail on the head. It is about creating a perceived deficit in your own ability. Let's start with the heavy hitters. Daniel mentioned the Hutzler 571 banana slicer. This is the gold standard of the absurd. It is a plastic mold with vertical blades.
I have seen the Amazon reviews for this. They are legendary. Thousands of people writing multi-paragraph essays about how they used to spend days, weeks even, trying to slice a banana with a traditional blade, only to have their lives transformed by this yellow piece of plastic. But here is the technical flaw, Herman. Bananas are biological entities. They do not follow a standard curvature.
That is the ultimate irony. The Hutzler slicer assumes a platonic ideal of a banana. If your fruit is too straight, it won't fit. If it has a sharper curve, you are just mashing the ends into a pulp. You are essentially paying $10 for a device that is less versatile than a butter knife, which costs $0 because you already own 5 of them.
But how do they account for the different sizes? I mean, some bananas are small and thin, others are massive. Does the slicer just leave a bunch of unused plastic gaps?
Precisely. It's an exercise in geometric frustration. But the Hutzler succeeded because it became a meme. It shifted from a utility tool to an ironic gift. Amazon's algorithm actually shows that if you buy one of these gag gadgets, you are 3 times more likely to buy another within 30 days. It is a gateway drug to clutter.
It is the juice arrow principle. Remember that one? We have talked about startup graveyards before, but juice arrow is the king of over-engineered nonsense. $700 for a Wi-Fi connected juicer that squeezes proprietary bags of pulp.
Juicero is a fascinating case because it represents the Silicon Valley version of the infomercial. They raised $120 million in venture capital. The machine itself was a marvel of engineering. It could apply 400 pounds of force, which is enough to lift 2 Teslas. But then a Bloomberg reporter discovered that you could just squeeze the bags with your hands and get the same amount of juice in the same amount of time.
It was a digital lock on a bag of carrots. That is the ultimate single-purpose product, one that actually adds a layer of technological friction to a task that was already solved. It is the egg minder of the juicing world.
Oh, the egg minder. We have to talk about that. It is a smart egg tray. It connects to your phone via Bluetooth to tell you how many eggs you have left and which one is the oldest. This is a solution to the problem of looking at a carton and seeing 2 empty spots, or reading the expiration date printed on the side by the farmer.
It is for the person who is at the grocery store and thinks, I simply cannot remember if I have 3 eggs or 4. Let me check my egg cloud. It is solving a memory lapse that costs roughly 40 cents to fix by just buying more eggs. But it is the smart label that gets people. It makes a mundane object feel like it belongs in the future, even if that future is just a drawer full of dead batteries and non-recyclable plastic.
Think about the setup process for that, Corn. You have to pair your egg tray with your home Wi-Fi. You have to download an app and create an account. You probably have to agree to a privacy policy just to track your poultry products. If your router goes down, you are suddenly blind to your own breakfast inventory. It's the definition of a fragile system.
And that brings us to the mechanical absurdity of things like the motorized ice cream cone. This is a real product. It is a plastic base that holds your scoop and rotates the ice cream so you don't have to move your tongue. You just hold your tongue out and let the motor do the work.
I actually looked into the mechanics of this one. It's essentially a low-torque motor powered by 2 AA batteries. The friction of the ice cream against the plastic holder actually generates just enough resistance that if the ice cream is too frozen, the motor just stalls and makes a sad whining noise.
See, that is where I draw the line. If you are too lazy to lick an ice cream cone, you have reached a level of decadence that should probably be studied by sociologists. What is the failure mode there? Do people get tongue fatigue? Is there a repetitive strain injury for eating Rocky Road?
The marketing claimed it eliminated drips. But in reality, you are adding a motor, a battery compartment, and a gearbox to an edible delivery system. You've turned a biodegradable snack into electronic waste. And it doesn't even solve the drip problem because the motor generates heat, which melts the ice cream faster. It is a self-defeating cycle of engineering.
It is like the avocado slicer, the 3-in-1 tool. It splits, it pits, it slices. I see these in every kitchen store. They are marketed on safety because of the dreaded avocado hand, where people stab themselves trying to get the pit out. But Herman, if you can't use a spoon to scoop out an avocado, should you really be trusted with a specialized plastic claw?
The avocado hand phenomenon is real, but the tool is often worse. Avocados vary in density and size. If the fruit is slightly overripe, the plastic slicer just turns it into a green slurry. A knife and a spoon are infinitely more adjustable. This is a classic case of what we call unitasker creep. You buy the avocado slicer, then the strawberry huller, then the cherry pitter, and suddenly you need a second kitchen just to store the tools you use to prepare a fruit salad.
It is a tax on the disorganized. But let's pivot away from the kitchen for a second, because the bathroom and the gym are just as fertile for this kind of nonsense. I am looking at you, Shake Weight.
The shake weight is a legend. It generated $40 million in its first year. The technology was called dynamic inertia. It was essentially a dumbbell on springs. You shake it, and the weight bounces back and forth, supposedly firing your muscles hundreds of times per minute.
We all know why it's sold, Herman. Let's not be coy. The motion required to use it was suggestive. It became a cultural punchline. South Park did an entire episode on it. It was the ultimate viral product before social media really took over. People bought it because it was funny, but the company marketed it with a straight face as a serious fitness revolution.
What is wild is that there was almost no peer-reviewed data suggesting it was more effective than just lifting a normal weight. It was a single-purpose device for a movement that no human actually performs in real life. Unless your job is shaking a can of spray paint for 8 hours a day, those muscles aren't helping you. It represents the gimmick fitness era where we tried to bypass the boredom of a bicep curl with a vibrating stick.
Did anyone actually get ripped using one of those? I've never seen a before and after photo that didn't look like it was taken in a basement with very strategic lighting.
Most of those testimonials were from people who were already in shape. They just handed them the stick and told them to look sweaty. It's the same with the ab belt that supposedly shocks your muscles into a six-pack while you eat pizza. It's the dream of effort-free transformation.
And then there is the comfort wipe. This one is actually a bit more complex because it touches on accessibility, but the marketing was pure infomercial gold. It is an 18-inch plastic arm with a gripper on the end for your toilet paper.
Right. Now, for people with genuine mobility issues or chronic pain, a reach extender is a medical necessity. But the comfort wipe didn't market itself as a medical device. It used the classic infomercial trope, perfectly healthy, fit actors in a bright bathroom looking frustrated by the reach. They tried to sell it as a hygienic upgrade for everyone.
The first improvement to toilet paper since 1880. That was the tagline. It is the height of hubris to think you are going to disrupt the act of wiping your own backside with a plastic wand. Billy Mays, the king of pitchmen, actually refused to sell it. He said it was too embarrassing. When the guy who sells OxyClean says your product is too much, you've hit the ceiling of absurdity.
It is the shame factor. Most of these products rely on a secret shame. Are you tired of your blanket falling off when you reach for the remote? Enter the Snuggie.
The Snuggie, the backwards bathrobe. I actually have a soft spot for the Snuggie because it leaned into the ridiculousness. They knew it was just a fleece blanket with sleeves. They showed families at football games looking like they were in a very cozy cult.
They sold 30 million units. 30 million. And the manufacturing cost was probably less than $2 per unit. It was the ultimate ironic consumption success. People bought them as Secret Santa gifts or for pub crawls. It is a single-purpose product that succeeded because it stopped pretending to be useful and started pretending to be a joke. But underneath the joke is a massive amount of polyester that will be in a landfill for the next 1,000 years.
That is the darker side of this, isn't it? The environmental cost of the marginally useless. We laugh at the pizza scissors, which, by the way, why? Why would I want to wash a hinge and 2 blades in a plastic wedge when I can just run a wheel over a pizza in 2 seconds?
The pizza scissors are a great example of over-engineering the wheel, literally. The pizza wheel is a perfect tool. It uses the weight of your arm and a rolling edge to slice without dragging the cheese. Scissors require you to lift the pizza, which often causes the toppings to slide off. It is a solution that creates 3 new problems. It ruins the pizza's structural integrity, it is harder to clean because of the pivot point, and it takes up more space.
But it has that wedge attached, so you can snip and serve. It appeals to the part of the brain that loves a Swiss Army knife approach, even if the tools are all worse than the originals. It's the same logic as the shredder claws. You know, those Wolverine claws for pulling pork.
Ah, the dad gift. Every man over the age of 40 has received a pair of these. They are large plastic or metal claws. The idea is that you can shred a smoked shoulder faster than with forks. And sure, maybe you save 20 seconds. But then you have to clean them. They have all these nooks and crannies where meat gets trapped, and you have to find a place in your drawer for these giant plastic paws that look like they belong in a cosplay convention.
I have a pair. I have used them exactly once. I spent more time digging pork out of the thumb hole than I did actually eating the sandwich. It makes you feel like a predator for 10 seconds, and then you spend 5 minutes at the sink with a bottle of dish soap feeling like an idiot. That is the trade-off.
It's the tactile experience of the shredder claws that is so deceptive. You feel powerful, but you are effectively just using a less precise fork. And let's be honest, how often are you shredding 5 pounds of pork? If it's once every 6 months, those claws are occupying prime drawer real estate for 364 days of the year.
It is the action movie marketing. Don't just cook dinner, conquer it. It is the same reason people buy the corn kernler. It is a donut-shaped blade that you push down a cob of corn. It looks satisfying in a 30-second clip. But corn cobs are not uniform cylinders. They taper, so the blade either misses half the corn or digs into the woody cob. A sharp chef's knife does the same job with 80% less mess and 100% more accuracy.
Have you ever noticed that these products always come in a specific shade of neon green or bright orange? It's a psychological trick to make them look like safety equipment or industrial tools. It's designed to bypass the part of your brain that knows this is just a piece of cheap injection, molded plastic.
It is the illusion of efficiency. We are obsessed with the idea that there is a secret tool that will turn a chore into a hobby, like the egg cuber. Herman, explain the egg cuber to me. Why does an egg need to be a cube?
The stated reason was that square eggs don't roll off the plate. This is a problem that has apparently been plaguing humanity since the dawn of time. Oh no, my breakfast is escaping. To use it, you have to hard-boil the egg, peel it while it is still hot, which is a nightmare. Then jam it into this plastic square press and refrigerate it for 30 minutes. You have turned a 2-minute snack into a 45-minute engineering project just to change the geometry of a protein.
It is medieval torture for hens, as one critic put it. It is the peak of because we can. It doesn't taste different. It doesn't cook better. It just fits in a box. It is the kind of thing you buy for a child once. Use it, realize it is a pain to clean, and then it migrates to the back of the pantry until you move houses.
And that is the life cycle of the single-purpose gadget. It is born in a flash of late-night inspiration, it lives for 2 weeks on the kitchen counter, and it dies in a box in the garage. But the industry doesn't care because the transaction happened. The $300 million is already in the bank.
We are talking about 10 of these, and we've hit the heavy hitters, but I want to talk about the fashion side of this. Pajama jeans.
The ultimate surrender. Pajama jeans represent the moment where we as a society decided that buttons were too much work. They are made of Dormasoft fabric, which is basically just sweatpants material printed with a high-resolution image of denim. They even had fake brass buttons and distressed fading printed on them.
It is the visual lie. It says, I am a productive member of society who wears pants, while your legs are saying, I have given up on life, and I am currently eating cereal out of a box. It is a single-purpose product for the specific task of fooling your neighbors during a grocery run.
Think about the internal conflict of the pajama jean wearer. You are sacrificing the structural integrity of denim for the comfort of fleece, but you are still burdened with the aesthetic of the very thing you are trying to avoid. It's a fashion paradox. If you want to be comfortable, wear sweatpants. If you want to look professional, wear jeans. The middle ground is a valley of despair.
And yet, they sold millions, because they tapped into a genuine desire for comfort, but they did it through a gimmick. They didn't sell them as comfortable pants. They sold them as a fashion revolution. It is the same psychology as the better strainer. You know, the one that clips onto the pot?
Oh, the better strainer. The commercial shows a woman trying to use a lid to drain pasta, and the lid slips, and 5 gallons of boiling water and spaghetti fall into the sink in slow motion. She looks at the camera with this expression of pure existential agony.
But wait, how does the clip-on strainer deal with different pot sizes? If I have a tiny saucepan versus a giant stock pot, surely one clip doesn't fit all.
That's the catch. It uses a one-size-fits-most tension spring. But most is a very generous word in the world of cookware. If your pot has a slightly thicker lip or a flared edge, the clip just pings off under the pressure of the hot water. It's essentially a spring-loaded trap for your dinner. You've replaced a reliable, gravity-based system with a plastic clip that has a high failure rate.
It is the clumsy person tax. If you can be convinced that you are incapable of holding a lid, you will buy anything. It makes me wonder about the psychological profile of the as-seen-on-TV superfan. Is it just optimism? Is it the belief that life could be just a little bit smoother if I only had the right plastic clip?
I think it is a combination of things. One is the gift economy. Daniel mentioned this in his notes. Many of these products are the perfect $20 gift. You don't know what to get your uncle, but he likes barbecue, so you get him the shredder claws. It is a useful gift that is actually just a novelty. The second is the problem-solution loop. Our brains are hardwired to release dopamine when we see a problem being solved. Even if the problem is fake, the resolution feels good.
It is like those videos of people power washing driveways. It is satisfying. Watching a motorized fork twirl spaghetti is satisfying to watch, even if using it is an exercise in futility because you have to change the batteries every 3 meals.
The motorized spaghetti fork. I forgot about that one. It is a fork that spins. Again, we are back to the too lazy to move your wrist category. It is a mechanical solution to a non-existent problem that actually makes the experience worse because you lose the feel of the food. You are just a biological input for a pasta delivery machine.
And don't forget the herb scissors. 5 blades. You can cut your cilantro 5 times faster. Except you can't, because the cilantro gets stuck between the 5 blades, and then you have to spend 10 minutes with a toothpick cleaning out the organic matter so it doesn't rot. A chef's knife takes 30 seconds to clean. The herb scissors take 10 minutes. You have literally traded your time for the cool factor of having more blades.
It's also about the quality of the cut. With a knife, you are slicing through the cell walls of the herb. With 5 dull blades squeezed together, you are essentially bruising the cilantro into a green paste. You are losing all the aromatic oils to the metal blades instead of keeping them in the food. It's a culinary tragedy disguised as a time saver.
It is the total cost of ownership that people miss. People think about the purchase price, $10, $15. They don't think about the storage price or the maintenance price. If you have a kitchen with limited drawer space, every single purpose gadget you add is stealing real estate from something actually useful. If you have 12 gadgets you use once a year, you are living in a cluttered environment that creates mental friction every time you try to cook a simple meal.
It is the false economy of the cheap. We have talked about buy it for life before, and these products are the exact opposite. They are buy it for the laugh or buy it for the moment. They are designed to be disposable, even if they are made of permanent materials.
I think we should talk about how to filter these out, because the as seen on TV spirit hasn't died. It has just migrated to Amazon and Instagram. Now it is the 10 kitchen hacks you didn't know you needed.
The hacks are just unitaskers in digital clothing. My favorite is the soap dispensing dish brush. It has a little reservoir for soap in the handle. It sounds great until you realize that the reservoir is a perfect breeding ground for mold, and the button always breaks after a month, and you can't replace just the brush head on half of them, so you have to throw the whole plastic handle away.
It is a design for convenience that ignores hygiene and durability. So how do we avoid the trap? I have a 3-question filter for any new gadget. First, does a tool I already own, like a knife, a spoon, or a fork, already do this? 90% of the time, the answer is yes.
Second, how often will I actually use this versus how much space will it take up? The storage reality check. If you calculate the square inches of your kitchen and realize you are paying $500 a month in rent or mortgage to house a collection of plastic banana slicers, the math starts to look pretty bad.
And third, what is the total effort of using this? Does it take longer to clean than the time it saves? Most unitaskers fail this test miserably. If it takes 5 minutes to assemble and clean a device that saves you 30 seconds of chopping, you are losing 4.5 minutes of your life every time you use it.
Also, ask yourself, can I perform this task if the power goes out? If your ability to slice an egg or peel a potato is dependent on a battery or a specific plastic mold, you've outsourced a basic human skill to a piece of junk. There's a certain dignity in being able to use a knife properly.
It is the staged incompetence test. If the commercial shows someone failing at a basic human task, they aren't selling you a solution. They are selling you a version of yourself that doesn't exist. A person who can't handle a garden hose or a bagel. By the way, the bagel slicer. Let's talk about that before we wrap up.
The guillotine-style bagel slicer. It is a plastic frame with a blade. It is actually one of the few that has a legitimate safety argument because people do tend to slice their palms when cutting bagels. But again, it only works for one size of bagel. If you have a nice artisanal hand-rolled bagel that is a bit thicker, it won't fit. If it is a thin grocery store bagel, it wobbles. A bread knife and a flat surface solve this problem globally for every shape of bread.
It is the loss of versatility. A knife is a universal tool. A bagel slicer is a prison for your bread. And that is the ultimate takeaway, right? These products aren't just useless, they are restrictive. They try to funnel the infinite variety of life into a single plastic mold.
It is a narrow view of human capability. We are tool users. We are designed to adapt. These products assume we have lost the ability to adapt, so they provide a rigid plastic crutch.
Well, I, for one, am going to go home and throw away my motorized ice cream cone. Or maybe I'll keep it for the irony. It is a great conversation starter, even if the conversation is just my wife asking why I bought it.
That is the gift economy at work. It lives on as a joke. But as we move into the era of AI and smart everything, I worry that we are just going to see more of this. Every single purpose gadget is going to get a chip and a subscription fee.
The smart banana slicer. It tracks your potassium intake and posts it to X. We are laughing now, but you know someone is pitching that in a boardroom right now.
I can see the slide deck already, disrupting the fruit preparation space. It is a terrifying thought, but for now we can at least be aware of the staged incompetence and the unitasker trap.
If you see a guy in a neon shirt shouting at you tonight, just remember, you already have a knife. You're going to be okay.
Thanks to our producer, Hilbert Flumingtop, for keeping us on track and making sure we don't buy too much junk for the studio.
And a big thanks to Modal for providing the GPU credits that power the AI behind My Weird Prompts. If you are enjoying the show, head over to myweirdprompts.com to find our RSS feed and all the ways to subscribe.
This has been My Weird Prompts. We will see you in the next one.
Stay away from the late night shopping, folks. Your drawers will thank you. Bye. This episode was produced using Google Gemini 3 Flash, text-to-speech by Chatterbox.
Thanks for listening to our show, My Weird Prompts, where our thoughts go from slow takes